everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the very highly requested video of how to find a remote job. To give a bit of background, the two jobs that I've had since graduating in 2020 were both fully remote. These two jobs gave me the flexibility and freedom to travel whilst working full time. I will be talking mainly from the perspective of someone based in the UK or someone who is a British citizen who is looking for a remote job, because a lot of the videos I found online talking about how to get a remote job, a lot of them are targeted towards American citizens and American residents. And I found that a lot of the advice is not entirely applicable to UK citizens and UK residents. So I hope in this video it will help those of you who are based in the UK to find a remote position. And the websites that I'm about to tell you, some of them are targeted to UK residents and citizens. Now, whether you want a remote job because you want more flexibility, you want to save time and money on the commute, or whether it's because you fancy the idea of being a somewhat digital nomad and have the freedom to be able to work from wherever you are in the world, this video is for you. I'm going to tell you my tips and tricks for how to land a remote job and where to look for them. First of all, before we get into how to find a remote job, you need to think about what kind of remote job you want. I would split these into three general categories. The first one is that you are a freelancer, so you completely work for yourself, you provide a service, you have clients and customers. The other two remote job types I would say are more full-time roles when you're working for a company, but even then these can be split into two different types. The first type is getting a full-time job for a remote first company. These are companies where they have always been remote, they don't have offices, everyone in the team works remote. There's no option to not work remote, you have to work remote. These roles tend to give you more autonomy, more flexibility, and also generally have a more flat hierarchical structure and are probably a bit more chaotic and a bit less structured. So those are those types of roles within startups. And then the second type of fully remote full-time jobs is with more traditional corporate companies who are a bit more established but have, since the pandemic, opened up their roles and are now offering fully remote positions, even though they might not have done that prior to the pandemic. These type of roles possibly offer less flexibility, but they do offer more structure. And then another thing to add is, even in these fully remote roles, especially if you're working for a company versus being a freelancer, you can either be on a full-time contract and be on payroll, or you can be a contractor. These are two very different things. If you're a contractor, it means that you are invoicing the company that you're working for. You might have a fixed contract as a contractor, but you are wholly responsible for your taxes and any social security contributions. If you get a fully remote role that is on payroll, this means that the company will pay you automatically every single month a certain amount, and they will take off taxes, social security contributions, pension, etc. for you. The one thing to mention with being on payroll though for a company is that if you do intend on taking this role because you want to be able to work from anywhere in the world, you need to ensure that the company is able to still pay you on payroll while you're working from different countries or in different locations around the world, because the tax liability falls on the company, and if the company isn't legally set up to pay you if you're working in different countries, then the company could get into trouble. So that's just another thing to bear in mind, depending on what you want out of your remote role, but just to make sure that you understand the tax implications and the legality of what you intend on doing, especially if you do intend on traveling whilst working full-time. One of the first places I would recommend looking is honestly on Google. You just need to Google search remote job company or remote first company and see which companies come up. You can even filter this and check the news articles, the news section on Google for these keywords, because a lot of the time there will be loads of news articles listing the companies that have announced that they now offer fully remote positions. I know Spotify have, Airbnb. The next place I'd recommend looking is LinkedIn and Indeed. Both of these have really good job positions that are listed, and the great thing about both of these is that you can now filter specifically that you only want to be shown remote only roles. What I would say with using both Indeed and LinkedIn is that you should definitely read the job description fully, because although some of them might say they're remote first or remote only, they might have the caveat of they're remote first but only in the UK or only in specific countries. So again, if you're looking to have more flexibility where you can travel a bit whilst working, make sure that you read the actual job description. Now we get onto the websites that I use, and I really like these websites. My favorite one, I'll say first, is otter.com. A lot of the roles are either UK only or Europe. But again, also is my favorite. They match you based on your preferences, and again, you can specify if you want it to be fully remote. You can specify the industry, your skills, the level that you're going for. The next website I would recommend is Meet Frank. It's also an app, so that's again very similar to Otter or startup-y jobs. And then the websites that I'm about to tell you now, 2 of them I came across are very popular in the United States, but they do hire internationally, again all remote. These are dynamitejobs.com and weworkremotely.com. Again, I'll leave all the websites in the description box below. And then 3 or 4 other websites that I found that again are kind of specifically tailored to the UK. These are workinstartups.com, angel.co/jobs, startup.jobs, and ukstartupjobs.com. They're all the kind of places that I would look for startup jobs specifically. Another place you can look for jobs, if you haven't found anything from the first 3 that I've mentioned, is potentially just by networking with people, local digital nomad meetups or your local co-working space. Try talking to people who are also in the digital nomad space, because they might work for a startup that is also looking to hire someone and it's fully remote. So you never know what opportunities could come just by going and interacting in person and networking that way. And then also the final one some other people have mentioned is using Facebook groups. I've never personally done this before. I also don't know how legit a job through a Facebook group might be. Maybe there'll just be a lot of spam. You'd have to sift through what's actually legit and what's not. But that is another way that you could potentially find a remote job. And then finally, I just want to add some kind of tips or advice for looking for remote jobs. My first one would be that the qualities that are important in remote only jobs are that you are very independent, you're very hardworking and self-motivated, that you're a self-starter, that you're highly organized, and that you are reliable. These core values and qualities are very, very, very important, and what companies who are looking to hire remotely will look for, because they won't see you in the office, you will not be going in. They need to know that you have a good work ethic, that you will be delivering the work, that you won't be wasting your time, that you are reliable, because you're not physically present, you might be in a different country. They need to know that they can leave you alone, you'll be independent, you'll get the work done, you'll take the initiative, and that you'll be hard working and self-motivated, because you won't have someone watching you or keeping an eye on you at all times. So those are very important qualities to be able to demonstrate in the application process for these roles. Another tip I would say is to try and get remote work experience, because as I said, they are hiring remotely. They might not even meet you for a long time. They need to be able to know when they're interviewing you over Zoom or whatever it is, that they can trust you and that you are hardworking. And if you have remote work experience prior to this, it's only going to put you at an advantage over other candidates who don't have any experience whatsoever. This doesn't even mean that you need to go and get a remote job or something. You could just demonstrate in some way that you have been able to effectively work online, work remotely in teams, and build something together. This could be something as simple as being a freelancer and having a couple of gigs that you've done online through Fiverr or Upwork. It could be doing an online course or an online internship where you've had to work collaboratively with other people online. And there are loads of free courses that you can do online where you can get these skills to demonstrate them. So when you're looking for these jobs, if you haven't got this experience yet, I'd recommend setting aside like 4 hours a week to do an online course that's self-paced, where you will be working in teams with other people, that's completely free in an area that you're interested in, because that shows that you've got the experience, you've worked remotely before, and it's only going to work in your favor in your application. And then my final thing that I want to say is that with remote first jobs, especially in startups, especially if you've got no experience, you're a fresh graduate and you're going for an entry-level role, the pay might not be great. I'll be honest with you. The pay won't be like other corporate grad roles. The pay might not be amazing, especially because a lot of startups don't have a lot of money. You need to weigh up what is really important to you. There are so many pros and cons to remote work, and I'm going to do a separate video on that. So if you're interested, remember to hit that subscribe button. If you take the remote job with a slightly lower salary, you will gain experience. You will work remotely. So when you apply for other remote jobs, you can say you've had a remote job before. You're able to then have the flexibility and freedom to potentially travel, to work from anywhere, to work from home if you're in the UK, and save money on rent and commuting. So there's pros and cons to each, depends what you're looking for. I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any other questions, please do leave them in the comment section below. I plan on potentially doing some videos listing what kind of remote job roles are out there and sending you the links to apply if you want. If that's the kind of video that you would be interested in, leave a comment below and I can absolutely do that. And also, if you are currently in a remote job role or you're looking for a remote job and you have other tips and advice to give other people, leave them in the comment section as well. Sharing is caring. We're all here to help each other out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and hopefully see you in my next one. Bye.